Park Lane stylists and leaders, it's Tom Judson here with the podcast version. This is podcast number 2 of our 17th of November 1-minute training. And during our 1-minute training after the news at noon, we take time and share some ideas, but we're expounding on that. And first thing I want to do was give you a corrected 20 through 11. We had such fabulous numbers this week that outside of the top 10, we recognized number 11 through 20. The thing was, I didn't have everybody in there, so 15 through 11 were right, but here they are. Number 20, Candy. Number 19, Andrea. Number 18, Angie. Number 7, Laurel. Number 16, Kristen. Suzanne, number 15, and the stylist, Tracy, Emily, Wendy, and Natasha. Congratulations. Our top 10 stay as they were. Thanks for that, and I apologize. No good deed. But we get that corrected. And hey, our training that we've been talking about is that sharing, just that good feeling of sharing what's good, and have been shared with you with others, is it pays. It pays in many ways. And this is a 3-week series, our optional podcast that we do every week. And we're talking about the ABCs, no more than 3 steps, ABCs of recruiting. That's what sharing is. You can call it sponsoring, you can call it recruiting, you can call it whatever you want, as long as you're doing it. And last week we talked about A, and that the A is for attitude. And recruiting really is a feeling and it's an attitude. And when you have it, you share it. We had 2 big points. Number 1, it's the best thing you have to offer. So start. Remember, I did an analogy with a $100 bill, a 50 and a 20. And if I could give these to you, which one would I give you? I'd give you the 100. I would. So that was number 1. And number 2, we got to offer it to everybody because we don't know who will, who won't. So we have to offer everybody the opportunity. Now, this week we talk about B, the B in ABCs, and the B is for bear. It's kind of for body, the body of what we're going to talk about, but we use bear because be excited and recruit. That's what bear is always stood for. And we're following a format of having a recruiting conversation. And that's what I want you to embrace that it is. It's not recruiting. It's not something you're doing to someone. It is something you're doing for someone, but you're just having a conversation with them. That's all you're doing. And the first 2 steps in having that conversation, you create that connection with them, and you ask them questions so you can determine their needs, figure out how Park Lane might fit into it. Now, that's the A part. We talked about that last week. The B section of this is kind of share 4 common questions. If you can overcome objections before they ask, you're ahead of the game. And you're going to have objections. You're always going to handle objections. How do you handle those? Next week, the C is the close. And that's my favorite part because I'm going to share with you some really great closes. And I'm going to share with you what the best closers in every business I've been in do. And it's the same thing. It really is. But that's next week. So this week, we're really talking about those 4 common questions that they have. And how do we overcome objections? So these were the 4 questions we talked about in our 1-minute training. How much money will I make? How much training will I get? How much does it cost? How do I get started? And these are what I would answer. And what we're going to do is model kind of what you would answer as you talk about those things ahead of time. And number 1, how much money will I make? That's a question you're going to have, right? Your income is up to you. But based on our show average of 500, that's a conservative show average, your take-home net profit would be approximately, if you do 2 gatherings, shows, whatever, you call them whatever. If you do 2 a month, times 30%, 1,000 times 30 is $300. If you do 3 a month, it's $450. If you do 4 a month, you're a branch director, right? They should have 1 recruit if they're doing 4 shows a month, and that's 2,000. Now they're up to 35%. That's 700. And if they do 8 gatherings a month, 8 shows a month, times their show average, that's 4,000. They're going to be an area. And as an area, they could, if they sell 2,500, this is 4,000, and they have 8 active people, they make 50% commission. Now, that's $2,000. And does that surprise you? That's really exciting. Even if they don't get the bonus, that's still $1,600. So this really is a great way to show the income you can make. And the second source of income is building a team. And if you have any direct sales experience, then we really are excited to have you as part of Park Lane because of the ways you can make money. How much training will I get? They're always a little afraid that they won't know. Hey, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. We have a strong system of training for new team members, including self-study guides, videos, free classes, small group training. Your franchise has training. Your upline will also support you with monthly phone contacts. There's even a Facebook group page where you can get up-to-the-minute support, real-time training. You get the news and noon every week. What else do you think you might need to be successful? So this is really, you saw me kind of rattle that off, but this really answers that question up front. Next question I know you'll have is, how much does it cost? As a new stylist, you'll purchase a kit which includes products, business supplies, website, training materials you'll need to get your business off to a successful start. Now there are a number of different options, and I can't even specifically, you have 2 in Canada, you have 3 in the UK, you have how many options? Just share with them. Each one is at the cost of, $99, $199. And if you're in an area like Canada or Mexico that you add tax and shipping, give them the final number. The one thing about the UK and Australia is great is the number is the number. It includes VAT, GST, or whatever. You need to give them the total number so there are no surprises. Of these 3, which sounds best to you? And how do I get started signing up? It's super simple. I'm going to send you a link to my website, and then you just click join. And then with the help of me, your recruiter, or your upline, start lining up your first few get-togethers. So in those 4 common questions, if as we talk about the opportunity and then answer those questions, you're really cutting off some of the objections they may have ahead of time. Because the more objections they have, a little more challenging it is to get through there. So you've taken care of some of those. Now, the second thing we know we're going to have is we're going to have some objections. There are going to be some people who aren't going to just go, yeah, okay, great, I want to do it. And there will be those that do, it's okay. But we get to solve their problem. That's all we're doing in this conversation. If X were their problem, if X wasn't a problem, would you try it? So we're going to talk about the 5 most common objections. And then I'm going to give you it's called the TT tip. It's a hashtag TT and a word. And that's something that I always used. I was taught to use that worked real well for me. Sound good? Here we go. Number 1, if time is the objection, oh, I just couldn't do it. There's no way I have enough time. If time were not the problem, would you join us? Okay? They say yes. Now, there are lots of ways you can overcome objections. Listen, I understand how you feel. I felt that way until I found out that I could work my schedule around all my other priorities. That's something called the feel, felt, found. But for most of you, this is easy. Would you just say, hey, if time wasn't a problem, would you join us? Lots of times when you say that, the answer is yeah, but are you going to give me more time? No. Let's see how we can work it around your schedule. My Tom tip is a calendar. You should have a calendar. You should have a calendar that you can show for the next 30 days. And you go down and list everything they do. If they have a full-time worker, if they have kids in hockey, if they have all these things, you go through there and fill it in. And when you do that on a calendar, there are glaring big spots of time where they could just do this part-time as a side gig. There are people who 35 years ago we recruited using a calendar that are huge legacy leaders in companies because of the calendar. Objection number 2, money. Oh, I just don't have the money. Let me ask you a question. If money weren't a problem, would you join us? Would this be something you'd want to try? Now, if they say yes, see if you can work on a way to find them make money. The TT tip is sell something on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is a growing marketplace to sell something. Find something you've got around. One person's junk is another person's treasure, and sell it just enough to get your new Park Lane kit. Exciting. Significant other. Well, I don't know. I have to talk to my husband. Okay? I think it's great you want to talk to your spouse. If he or she says go for it, would you join us? Now, if yes, see what he or she will say to the significant other. So when they say yes, when you approach them about it, what are you going to say, and have them role play with you? My TT tip is meet them together. We used to do so many events with couples because if you want to just give it to the spouse, more times than not, is ultra encouraging them to do it. So that's significant other. Number 4, fear of failure. I'm afraid I'm not going to be successful. listen, if you couldn't fail, if I could make sure you couldn't fail, would you join us? If yes, talk about what success would look like for them. And my TT tip is know her personality. I have done so many different personality style tests, taught personality style training. I can really, when I meet a person, I can just look around real quick, talk to them a little bit, and generally get their personality style. DISC and Eagle and Otter, and I've EMFP, I've done them all, and I can do them all. And so it's easy for me to figure based on, pictures and just words they say about what their personality style is. And then it makes it easier to figure out what success would look like. So if you can kind of know a little bit about a personality, that helps. And last, I don't know enough people. I don't know enough people to get started in a business or have a party. Okay, if you did have the contacts, would you join us? If they say yes, then let's talk about who you know. And that's the Frank's worksheet. Friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, your kids' friends, parents, and your spouse's friends. So there's a little contact sheet you can go through that will really help you create a dynamic list. Generally, 3 in every one of those is 18 people. And that's more than enough people to talk with about initial bookings. Hey, next week we talk about the C in ABCs of sponsoring, and that's the close. I'm excited about sharing with you some really great close. Hey, this podcast is posted on the Tom Park Lane Facebook page. If you don't already like that page, please do to see it. It's also on our YouTube channel, Twitter, and Instagram, all under the hashtag @TomParkLane. Thanks for watching our supplemental podcast.